Pilgrims, and welcome to another episode of the Polygon Pilgrimage. In today's episode, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a backstage tour of our brand new logo here for the Pilgrimage. This is the Polygon cube here, and it has all the different faces for the major softwares. I'm sure you've seen in the logo already, and it looks hopefully very ancient and old world knowledge. So let's go ahead and jump over to Photoshop, and we'll begin our journey there, and I'll explain to you guys the theory behind the logo and what it was I was trying to create. Alright, so here in Photoshop, I wanted to show you some of the references that I gathered from the web. So, as I mentioned, I really wanted this to look like old world knowledge. These are things that we're all trying to learn, and these are, the secrets of the masters from the ages before. So, going along with that, I was really drawn to the idea of these ancient Mayan tablets and just in general things like hieroglyphics and, knowledge embedded into stone to last for eternity. So going with that concept and the fact that I own a Mayan calendar, a metal plate version, which is hanging up above to my left here on the wall, I really like the symbols here, and what really drew me in is the idea of the thick borders behind the shapes and the exaggerated forms and how everything's just kind of crammed together, and it's sort of cartoony in some senses, and in other senses it's very symbolic and simplified, and I really was drawn to that. So I gathered these references, and I wanted to make it stone. I wanted to make them in these tile type shapes so they could all fit together. So from there, let's take a look and see what I've created. So I'm going to close these out. And here is the general idea. I wanted to take the existing logos for all of the major softwares that I use and create some of these stone tiles that look like they would be ancient civilizations depicting these things. So if you're not familiar, this in the bottom left is the logo for Max. So here's the logo for 3D Max. And then we have ZBrush, the little running man, which you can clearly see here. Photoshop, which you can clearly see here. And this is the logo for Unity, which is up here in the corner. He got a little distorted, but I kind of like it. And this one is for Alchemy. And then I realized that I only had 5, and I really wanted to have some additional ones to kind of break up the repeating patterns a little bit. And so I thought, and I said, let's create some that represent the very fundamentals of 3D. And so that's what these 3 here are. We have vertices, represented by this shape here. We have edges, represented by this zigzag. And then we have faces, which is a face with a line through it, representing an edge that would be any face, any polygon, or not any polygon, but any quad is represented by exactly 2 triangles. So these helped me to kind of fill in the spaces, and I wanted to pay homage to the very core of 3D. So with that created, what I went about doing here was, you see the bottom here were the originals, and I didn't like them as much because they just seemed too busy. They almost seemed kind of fiesta. I don't know why that comes to mind with all the squirrely shapes and just craziness. So what I decided to do was simplify, and what we end up with is what's on top here. Now for the cube, there are 2 types of tiles. There are the small tiles, which go all along the borders, and then there are the large tiles, which are in the center. And essentially, 5 of the faces of the cube are the 5 major softwares. The 6th face is the blank face that is left for the logo, for the reveal. So we have here, this is the Photoshop file for the large tiles. And you'll notice that I brought them all over, and then I decided later I only wanted the 5 major softwares. So the model actually has, for each one, a diffuse, a normal, and a specular for each. And then around the edges, we only have the smaller things, but I also wanted to fill in with the softwares. So it was a little bit of deciding back and forth, but I really like what we ended up with. So let's jump over to Max and we'll take a look there. So here we are with our result. I'm not going to call it our final result, because I do have plans to make this better, obviously, all the time, getting better. That's what we do here. One of the ways is which I really wanted to include this really cool lighting, so look for a future episode on that. What I did here with the or the edges I wanted to show you. So each side has, like I said, the major face is one of the softwares. And then I chose this really cool pattern where I angled the edges, the edges of the square here are the verts, and they're angled so they angle inward, bringing your attention to the center. And then from there I said, okay, you start with a vertice, then the next level of complexity is an edge, and then a face. And then I said, I don't really want those major softwares in the middle here because it's about to be here again. So I just repeated with the vertices, and I was able to again angle them to create these cool corner shaped looking things. I really like the way that turned out. Then what I did was I drew 2 lines of symmetry, so I only made the corners and then duplicated around. So I start with, in the corner, I start with alchemy, which is I come up with the design, the concept, and then I move to max, where I model everything. Then I move to ZBrush. This is where we start to do the high detail sculpting and get those really fine details in there. Then to Photoshop, which is for textures, and then into Unity. So now it's in-game, and now you get to see it and play with it. So everything here, I wanted it to have a purpose. I wanted it to kind of tell a story, and even if it's subliminal, just the ability to have the softwares going forward in order, sort of. So it kind of reinforces that to us every time we look at it even. So I hope you guys have really enjoyed this, and I'll be doing much more work on the cube in the future. This will be our logo. I'm looking into creating some really cool custom QR codes with it, all kinds of neat stuff with this logo. It's a lot of fun. I'll do another episode if you guys are interested on how I animated it, on how I created the textures using Crazy Bump, and a little bit more of the final finishings to it. And like I said, the cool lighting is coming, and as soon as I get that done, then I'll be showing that to you guys as well, and you guys can all have cool lighting for your logos as well. And as always, I'd like to thank you for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time as the pilgrimage continues.